Omar, thanks for being here. The morning after Halloween is never easy. I don't know how many Snickers wrappers you have on your desk, but I have several, and it's just 10 a.m.
Too many, and a few Reese's as well.
Oh, you're a peanut butter man. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
Got a lot. I am too. And we do hand out peanut butter ones, but there's a lot of families that won't, so the kids don't get mad.
Well, that's why I get to eat them all.
That's right. If you want it, if your kid is allergic to peanut stuff, bring it to Omar or Jay's house. We will gladly take it. Omar, you are the editor of MJBizMagazine. We love to have you on Reporter's Notebook, because in your notebook, which is probably this thick, you put together a magazine that folks will be getting in the mail if they haven't already, available online. And certainly when folks get to Vegas for MJBizCon in early December, there'll be copies there. And I love the topic we've been talking about a little bit before we came on. Profitability is still possible. That's not the topic, but that's what I'm drilling it down to. Yeah. What have you found in sort of your travels throughout?
Yeah, well, I think people know, cannabis operators know that the industry is in a very difficult time right now. There is a lot of doom and gloom, certainly with some merit, but it shouldn't be overdone either. It's still possible to be profitable in cannabis. Bo Whitney, a cannabis economist from Oregon, he did a study that came out in the midsummer, I believe. He found, on the one hand, 27% of cannabis businesses are profitable. That's not great. 1 in 4, roughly a little bit better than 1 in 4. But that doesn't mean that the other, 73% are unprofitable. There's still 32, maybe I think 32% that are not profitable, but the other 40 something percent are breaking even, and those guys with a bit of luck, with a schedule change, maybe with a smart cost cutting measure, a smart hire, a smart innovation, that could be the thing that takes them into profitability. So I think there are reasons to be optimistic. You have to do a lot. It's not the crazy green rush that it was 5 years ago, where even somebody that had a lobotomy could make money. It's not that, but you can still make money. You just have to be a smart business person.
And it's sort of the iterative process, the learning, the honing, the getting more efficient, getting more profitable, understanding the market, understanding your customers. And you had some examples, and one that I've actually been to is Jaunty. They're based in Hoosick Falls, which I just love. It's between, let's say, Troy and Vermont, sort of stomping ground that I go through a lot. But it is a company that is didn't overinvest from day one, thinking the market was going to be huge, but I think grew into the market share that they had, and then it continued to hone it. Is that the type of model you saw in your examples in the magazine, that companies really understanding more every single day and then putting that into their operations?
For sure. I think, the thing is that there's a lot of models out there. We profiled, really did case studies, if you will, on 4 companies, and we could have picked many different, because there's a lot of good profitable companies out there. We chose these four for different reasons. They're different companies, different parts of the country. Some of the owners come from a legacy background. Some people, like Jaunty, the owners there, come from a more traditional business background. So all of these companies did have different paths to profitability. So there isn't just one path. That's the good news. But I think for all of these companies, it involved a lot of critical decisions, a lot of prudence, patience, taking things slowly, and again, tightening the belt. And there are some things that are in common, for sure. One of them, for example, is resilience and being willing to overcome tough times. We mentioned Jaunty. Jaunty, before they got into the recreational cannabis business, had tried the hemp CBD market in New York. Didn't go well. They were left with a lot of debt going into the recreational market. When they entered the rec market, they had to get even more money to get that going. So they building even more debt, and so that was a big challenge. Right there, investors came to them, wanting that New York license that they had that was so coveted, and they almost bit. But in the end, they said no, it would have distracted us from, our own dream. And they sort of stuck to their original plan. The partners went in, provided the money. And, now they're one of the top one or two vape brands in New York State. It's going to be one of the biggest markets in the U.S. And they're sitting on top of that right now. And they turn the corner to profitability. But they, it takes critical decisions like that. Same thing with Keef, that's been around for a lot longer. They've been around for 8 or 9 years. Keef out of Colorado, a beverage brand in multiple states now. When they got started, they bought like $1 million building in Boulder where they were going to do their manufacturing, only to find out that to be able to sell cannabis beverages in Denver, you need your manufacturing in Denver. So that's a lot of money down the drain. They lost a lot of money on that deal, but they bounced back. They found ways to, cut costs. And like I said, now they're in 7 or 8 states.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting to be an observer and a journalist in this industry, to watch the hype cycle and the roller coaster ride, but also reflect on ones that have learned from the same roller coaster ride and are putting it into action, I think. And I don't know if there's a word for the period we're in now, but it's come up a number of times on this program and others that this is the, again, I don't know what the right term is, the honing the model, tuning in, getting lean, because, and this is what I want to ask you, is at least the companies that you profile, the ones that I've talked to, been on this program, they're not waiting for the regulatory reform to happen, because the regulatory reform, whether it's safe banking or rescheduling or new markets opening up or going from med to rec, they know that those things are on a timeline that they can't control. And it could be 1 month or 10 years, some of those things, right? So how do you do the thing now to get, so when those things do happen, you are best prepared, but don't ignore now. And I think that's sort of the lesson, is you could be waiting for these things forever. It's just you don't know when they're going to happen, so you can't really bake that into your business model. You have to do the things now. And I think all the ones you profiled understand that methodology.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing that's also important to keep in mind is that when those changes, do happen, rescheduling, maybe getting rid of 280E, safe banking, investors open up to cannabis, even when those things do happen, they will make a big change. But when those things do happen, you're still going to have to do the things that a smart business does to survive. Even in the best of times, you have to be a good business, a smart business. Otherwise, there's a good chance you're going to fail. In the worst of times, you have to be good. Yeah, no chance, no matter. So you got to be doing, and we're in very difficult, not the worst of times, but we're in difficult times right now in cannabis. So you got to be making these smart moves. But it goes, to stuff that they teach in, business school, or even just in, elementary school. You just cannot spend more than you take in. You're going to have to, do it as a business. Of course, you're going to take some capital and loans and all that. But people, we know just through the experience of the last several years, people overextended themselves. They incurred a lot of debt that they couldn't pay back, and they had to sell their licenses, and they, couldn't make those margins work. All sorts of different reasons. But these, businesses that we profiled, and many other cannabis businesses out there that are sort of being smart and prudent and thoughtful about the way that they run their business, are actually, looking at data, looking at margins, trying different things, as you mentioned, sort of, fine tuning, honing their business models, seeing what works, what doesn't work. For example, I'll use the, Jaunty example again. Jaunty, until very recently, was known as Nature. That was the name from their hemp CBD company, and that was sort of the umbrella name. And then Jaunty was the vape brand, the vape brand, and then I think that was also the edibles brand. They have a different name for their concentrates and a different name for their flour. But Nature was the umbrella, and they went that way because they wanted to get all those products out into the New York market to see what would sell. And they also wanted to avoid what Nick Guarino, the CEO, called retailer fatigue, or consumer fatigue, where they would see, Jaunty, and just, it was better to have multiple products so people would feel like they're getting, buying different types of, from different brands. That worked in the first 12, 18 months or whatever. Now, recently, just in the last couple weeks, they rebranded where everything is jaunty now because they see that the brand works, it resonates. And now New York is a lot different as a market than it was, whatever, a year and a half ago. There's many more brands. And, if you have too many brands, you're in danger, you're at risk of confusing the retailer you're trying to sell to or the consumer that you're trying to sell to. So therefore, in their eyes, it was better just to have one jaunty name. Same thing with this company in California that our reporter Chris Kasakia profiled, Breeze. They focus on mints and pills, infused mints and pills, and they also do flour. But that's where the mints are their bread and butter. They gave the flour brand a different name because they didn't want to confuse a mint in a pill, which seems kind of non-combustible, which a lot of people would see as a healthier option. They didn't want to conflate that with the combustible option and do a whole separate. So again, these are things that people learn along the way, price points, things that you can do to keep your costs down in the manufacturing process. When is a good time to buy that machine that's going to, save you on labor? When can you afford it? When can you get a good deal on that machine?
Right. I want to shift a bit because it's not lost on me that today is Friday, November 1st. There is an election day in the U.S. November 5th, which is Tuesday. And there's some stuff on the ballots in many states. There's also, you may have heard, a race for president in the U.S. with implications. You want to make some predictions? We can start in Florida and work our way across the U.S., but then to the presidential race too, maybe. But also, what are you following in Florida? What will you be watching for when the polls close down there?
Well, Florida, I think the big news is the referendum. And I think, Florida is the third most populous state in the U.S. It's already the third biggest marijuana market in the U.S., even though it is only medical. So if that goes recreational, that in itself is going to be a big deal for the industry. I don't know what kind of opportunities are going to be there because it's a limited license market, but just by virtue of the size, there's going to be a lot of money, I think, being made, at least for the operators that are there, if it passes. I think it is going to pass. And I think what's also important is that Florida, to pass, it's not just 50%, you need 60%. And despite having that higher bar, people are very optimistic that that's going to happen. If it does happen, I think that's going to show, again, just cannabis legalization has even more momentum than it did in the last election cycle. And, when other big states were moving along. And I think we're also going to get victories in North and South Dakota and Nebraska as well. And I think there's a lot of momentum right now. Both presidential candidates have endorsed cannabis, whether you're a Harris voter or a Trump voter. The people, the presidential candidates you're going out for they're endorsing cannabis. And so I think that is going to be a big benefit to those referendums out there. A lot of critical races in Congress. I think it's possible, very strongly possible, that the Democrats will take hold of Congress by removing some prohibitionist Congress people, or getting them out of their seats with some pro-cannabis, pro-legalization candidates. And then also in the Senate, I think we have a senatorial candidate in challenger in Nebraska who is pro-legalization, who has a good chance of ousting a prohibitionist incumbent. When it comes to the White House, tough call. I'll go. I think it's going to be Harris. I think there's a lot of momentum right now, and I think if she gets in there, I think we'll have rescheduling within 2025. And I bet some reporter, I'm not saying it's me, is going to get busted for smoking weed in the White House during her term.
I believe that. There's also a race, and all of those ones, of course, are super important. The one that is also, I think, way down the list, but important to me and you living in Massachusetts, is the governor's race in New Hampshire. Could have a big say of what happens in New Hampshire over the coming year. We have I'll call her a prohibitionist, running on the Republican side, and the former mayor of Manchester, New Hampshire, obviously, is running on the Democratic side. She's in favor of legalization. I think they both recognize that lots of money is leaving New Hampshire to go buy cannabis. They just see different solutions to that problem. And I think we'll see that in New Hampshire, although I think the Republicans quite favored there, at least the last poll I saw. So we will see. But Omar, I'm going to hold you to all of that. And then the nice part is, within the month of that, we'll all be together in Las Vegas for MJBizCon. And a lot of these conversations, both about profitability, where the industry is now, the rescheduling hearing will have just happened, and there'll be lots of debrief on the election too, which is why everybody should get to Vegas for MJBizCon. What do you think?
I think so too. That is, I think if you're a reporter, a cannabis reporter, perhaps the only thing that more fun than covering politics is MJBizCon. There's so much business, so many deals going on there. One of the things that this will be like, I don't know, my 8th or 9th MJBizCon. And one of the things that I like to do every MJBizCon is walk around and just ask the exhibitors, hey, did you get any leads today? Did you make any sales today? And because that's sort of a barometer, if you will, of how our industry is doing, how we as a company are doing. And 9 times out of 10, we're getting good leads. There's got good traffic, So it's a place where the action happens. It's where connections are made. It's where, you find partners that can help your business, where you can help their business, and perhaps you find innovation. You find when Jaunty finds a vape filling machine. I don't know where I'm not saying they got it at MJBizCon, but that's the kind of stuff you're going to find at MJBizCon. The newest greenhouse innovations, growing innovations, manufacturing innovations, all that stuff is there. And a lot of deals to be made. So, we're a barometer of the industry.
Well, I'm sold. We'll be there. I will see you there. Look forward to talking with you there as well. Thank you for your time. Well, next time we'll connect, we'll go down your score sheet of all your predictions and see where you landed. But thanks for making time today. Make sure you vote on Tuesday. I just voted. I voted in San Francisco, which doesn't mean a lot in San Francisco, certainly for the presidential race. But there's a mayor's race there as well. Omar, thanks so much for your time. We will connect with you soon.
Thank you, Jay. Always fun.